Hello again, and welcome to another session of the 30 Days of Devotion with Pastor Alex. And I believe you've been blessed so far. I want you to share with someone who you believe is going to be a blessing to. I want to share again on the marks of a transformational believer using Joseph as a case study. And as we've looked at Joseph's life in the last couple of sessions, I want us to look at it from this perspective of how wisdom helped Joseph to navigate the process of life, starting from where he was sold by his brothers into slavery, into Potiphar's house. And then from Potiphar's house, he found himself in prison. And then from the prison into the palace. Now, the transition of Joseph from the prison to the palace is quite a scene to behold. Here is how it happened. So Joseph used or served his prisoners with the gifts that God had given him, which was the ability to interpret dreams. And it so happened that he interpreted dreams for two of them. One of them ended up being executed, and one of them, the butler, ended up having his post back in Pharaoh's palace. And so Pharaoh will have this weird dream that no one in his kingdom was able to interpret. Then the butler recommends Joseph to Pharaoh. They bring Joseph, he interprets the dream, and Pharaoh was quite astonished at it. Now, as part of the interpretation, he gave Pharaoh a plan or an idea. And we want to look at that in Genesis chapter number 41, verse 33. So now let Pharaoh seek out and provide a man discreet, understanding, proficient, and wise, and let him set him over the land as governor. This is the plan that Joseph gave to Pharaoh as a way to ensure that the dream that God had given to Pharaoh came to reality. All right. He said you should look out for a wise man, a person of wisdom who would oversee the execution of that global plan that will ensure that famine will not wipe out the entire generation. Now, Pharaoh gave a response in Genesis 41, verse 37. Here is what he said. And the plan seemed good in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of all his servants. That is the plan that Joseph gave in verse 33. Verse 38. And Pharaoh said to his servants, can we find this man's equal, a man in whom is the Spirit of God? Verse 39. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, for as much as your God had shown you all of this, there is nobody as intelligent and discreet and understanding and wise as you are. You shall have charge over my house and over all my people, and my people shall be governed according to your word with reverence, submission, and obedience. Only in matters of the throne will I be greater than you are. So Pharaoh concluded that if we're looking for a wise man, then who is wiser than you? Let me set you as the governor over all my household, over all the nation, over all my people. And it will be only in matters of the throne that I, Pharaoh, will be greater than you, Joseph. So that's how wisdom played out in favor of Joseph. Joseph landed the position of governorship or prime minister or overseer of the affairs of Egypt because of the wisdom of God that was at work in him. How does that relate to you as a believer today? It tells you that everything that you seek to do, you cannot negate the role of the wisdom of God. Whether you're a student, whether you're a career person, whether in marriage, whether in business, whatever venture you find yourself in, the wisdom of God is required. The Bible tells us that wisdom is profitable for direction. So wisdom helps you to know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. And also wisdom is justified of his children. So whatever you do, the results also give a proof that indeed wisdom is at work here. When we look at the life of Jesus, we see the one time in Jesus' life, he did a wonderful miracle. That was the miracle where he ministered to the woman with the issue of blood and thereafter raised Jairus' daughter from the dead, which was in Mark chapter number 5. Now, leading on to Mark chapter 6, the people who observed the life of Jesus said, "What manner of wisdom is this that is given to this man that he doeth these mighty works?" They attributed the mighty works of Jesus to the wisdom of God that was at work in his life. And so we can say that mighty works are sponsored by the wisdom of God. Mighty works, they are sponsored by the wisdom of God. And so if you want to do something mighty, something great, you cannot ignore the place of God's wisdom in that equation. And here is how you can assess and maximize the wisdom of God in your life. Number one, acknowledge that you need it. Acknowledge that you need the wisdom of God. When you acknowledge it and you notice that I need the wisdom of God and you feel like you don't have it, go ahead and ask for it. The Bible tells us in James chapter 1 verse 5, it said, "If any man lack wisdom, let him ask of God, that giveth to all men liberally and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him." That's a sure thing that if you ask God for wisdom, you're going to receive it. You have that assurance that if I ask, I will receive. So why don't you go ahead and ask for it? You can assess your life and see every area of your life where you feel you're deficient in the wisdom of God. Go ahead and ask for it. It might be in your business, your career, your finance, your academics, marriage, or relationships. Ask God for it and you are going to receive it. And when you're asking, ask with childlike faith. Like in the days of Solomon, when Solomon ascended the throne as king, and when he had an encounter with God, and God asked him, "What can I do for you?" He said, "Lord, I need wisdom." He said, "I'm just like a child that might not know how to go in and out and manage or govern these people that you have set me over as king. But grant me a wise and discerning heart." And truly, according to his request, God granted him wisdom. And that's how we've known Solomon as one of the wisest people that ever lived before the days of Jesus. The third thing is that acknowledge that wisdom can be learned. Wisdom can be learned. And so it will mean that seeing people who are models of possibilities, who are models of wisdom, and learning from them. You can learn and increase in your current state of wisdom. Wisdom is progressive, so you can grow in wisdom. The Bible tells us that Jesus grew in stature, in wisdom, and with favor, and in favor with God. And so that tells us you can grow in wisdom, you can learn wisdom from those who have it, and then you can see that your life will go on an upward trajectory. Because the Bible says that for with wisdom is a house built. The house of your life can be built and be built well with the wisdom of God. Go and maximize the wisdom of God. See you at the top.